right, welcome to another episode of Smack Talk, Leave It on the Court. I am your host, Cerebral. I got the usual suspects with me. What's going on, Joe?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm great. I can't wait to get for this episode, you know what I'm saying?
I'm going golfing later. I'm looking forward to that.
I heard some Smack Talk on Facebook that you're going to get your ass kicked later.
That's if he shows up. He's a flake, bro.
Who?
Brett. He hasn't texted me back yet.
I thought he got you the tea time.
Yeah, he did. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Me and Justin canceled the other tea time that we already had.
So you're basically banging on Brett Schultz.
Yep.
B.
Yep.
Okay.
Good luck
I'll,
to you.
I'll see you later.
Yeah,
Joe.
right? I
I'll
was
see you at the
gonna
house.
And then
Hey,
we
bro, you
got
crossed the line, bro.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
territorial lines have been set in our new room here. We got AK here. What's going on, AK?
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today?
Everybody's great. How was surgery successful?
Yeah. Everything's good, man. Had a surgery, not this past Thursday, but the previous Thursday after. So everything's good, man. Off crutches. Start therapy next week, so we'll see how everything
Posting
goes.
pictures of your nasty ass stitches.
Yeah. My knees all mangled up a little bit right now, everybody.
Hey, mangled.
Mangled knee.
Still mangled.
Yeah, that's my snap. Still mangled knee.
Still mangled.
Yeah, no, other than that, man, everything's good. Life's good. You know, I'm still getting paid while I'm out, so, you know, who can be mad at that?
I mean, you didn't have to say that.
Hey, it's a plus. It's a perk, you know?
All right, I'm not mad at you.
Perk.
Yep. Oh no.
Zach, my neck hurt.
I don't care. I don't care.
Well, we got to throw them wheels still.
Yeah, definitely got to do that. All right, so this is our first episode in the official new podcast room. Respect to the Indian head right there. I don't think any of us are diehard hockey fans by any nature, but this is how this room came, and it's dope, so we're leaving it like that. We've got a lot of new capabilities in this room. Unfortunately, they're not all live yet. Hopefully by next week, and we'll make a couple subtle changes. Hope you guys do enjoy this. Shout out to everybody that watches the YouTube video. It's always appreciated being able to see at least my ugly mug. I don't know how these guys feel about themselves, but it's appreciated when you guys are able to do that. That really helps us out a lot watching the YouTube videos. So thank you to all those that are supporting in that way. We have a little bit of a special treat for you guys. There's been some people talking about, we should talk fantasy football, and all three of us are in the league together, so we are kind of
Second made the playoffs. I had to say it.
Okay, we're going there. I'm not going there.
How many points you scored last year?
Yeah.
The second most in the
Oh.
league.
Still didn't make the playoffs.
Okay.
So you're saying when you were playing against the person that had the highest scoring for the week.
Just
you had the
about.
second.
Look, I could go into the league, check the week by week stats. It was unfair. It was
alright,
a
man.
schedule. I had the toughest schedule in the league.
I didn't make the playoffs last year either.
Toughest
I did.
schedule
Got
in
third
the
place,
league.
though.
Anyway. So you guys have been wanting us to talk fantasy football. So instead of actually breaking down like our a real detailed look, because none of us want to give away our secrets for fantasy, never mind. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. We are gonna do something different, and Joe and AK, this is your guys' brainchild, so I'm gonna let you guys explain that to the audience.
So we're going to do a little breakdown. So we're going to have our fantasy surprise, obviously who we think is going to surprise everybody this year in fantasy. Usually kind of a no-name player that kind of makes a big, breakout sometime in the year. Fantasy flop, first-round bust. And the first-round bust, just to clarify for people, it's not that this player is going to have a bad year, but where he's being drafted at in the first round is his numbers going to reflect his first round draft. Then a top rookie, comeback player, a golden oldie. Obviously, we know is an older player that's still performing at a high level.
And we all know who the golden oldie is going to be.
I mean, we can.
There's a few.
There's a few, but I know who you're thinking. I know who you thinking.
Sometimes the really easy answer is the right answer.
Yeah,
okay?
true. And then we have a must-have player and then a must-avoid player. So yeah, well, I'll get it started real quick. My fantasy surprise is Marquise Goodwin. He's on the 49ers. The 49ers are looking to pass for about 600 pass attempts this year. Obviously, with Jimmy Garoppolo, he can sling the ball. Marquise Goodwin last year had 105 targets with terrible quarterbacks. You get a little bit of a better quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo, and you can obviously make things happen a little bit better. And they have Kyle Shanahan as their head coach and offensive coordinator, and we all know when he was in Washington with Kurt, he let him sling that ball. He slings the ball. So you add that, and you got to realize that they added in Jerick McKinnon as well. Is he a upside from Carlos Hyde? I'm kind of on the edge about that, but I feel he's going to be a better weapon out of that backfield. He's more explosive, elusiveness, everything he brings with that. So I think he's going to be my fantasy surprise.
Joe?
All right, so I'm going to go with my fantasy surprise. I'm going to go with Eli Manning. A lot of people are kind of counting Eli out after the year he had. Last year he had clear injury problems. I mean, started with Odell. Then I think it went down to Brandon Marshall and then finally Sterling Shepard. Yeah. Like Aaron said, who was the running back for the Giants last year? At least this year you have some solids. You got Saquon Barkley, who Aaron likes to say high volume. Sorry for taking your stats.
No.
That's really the reality of it for Saquon. He's going to get the ball. I mean, there's no denying it. Odell going to come back. I'm hoping he has a great year for the sake of Eli and the Giants. I mean, I like to see them competitive in that division. Fantasy-wise, I think Eli's going to do his thing to Odell. Now he's got Sterling Shepard back.
And they got Saquon Barkley that can catch the ball out of the backfield, pass block. He can do it all.
Another thing, Eli has, for fantasy-wise, he has the 8th easiest schedule. So that's going to help him out for a comeback year almost. So
You took AK's book for a minute, didn't you?
I was going with Eli for it's been a while.
Eli,
you might find Eli on my team.
Yeah, ain't a bad pick.
Look, I'm not finna.
A solid backup at least.
Definitely.
And he could be
He's
a
definitely
starter.
someone where you would have to say, do I start Eli this week? I think that's how his year's going to be.
Especially if they're playing the Washington Redskins.
Last year, he was a 23rd ranked QB, and that's rough for somebody like Eli.
But there was a lot of factors in that. I understand that. My surprise player is going to be Eric Decker. Just got signed to the Patriots. And just knowing that system, and Eric Decker is a capable wide receiver.
Yes,
he's been in really crappy situations, though. Partially his fault.
I think he had 9 touchdowns with the Jets.
That's
total?
In one season.
Yeah,
I think you are right.
And who was their quarterback? I think Josh McCown.
Yeah, I think that was
So you have 9 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, not to cut you off, but I just wanted to let people know why that is a solid pick.
Yeah. You got Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. They're gonna find a way to get the ball to him, and they have Patriots actually have a wide receiver issue right now. Yeah, I know.
We know what they do when they go to New England.
Oh yeah,
white receivers go to New England.
They're great.
Get the ball. I don't know. There's something in the water.
I didn't want to say it, but that's exactly what I picked.
There's something in the water in New England for white wide receivers.
So Eric Decker's gonna get there. He's gonna grow his beard out a little bit more. And he's gonna be solid. So
that's a good pick, though. Honestly, I didn't even think.
I agree.
He really didn't do nothing, obviously, last year. I mean, he had a real bad season.
Right?
Yeah, he had a bad season in Tennessee, but Tennessee had a bad season as a whole in the sense of Marcus Mariota. Their wide receivers didn't really produce much. They relied on DeMarco Murray.
Yeah.
Heavy.
Yeah.
Why do you think he retired? He was like, I'm
tired of this.
I'm not doing it. What do you think Barry Sanders did?
Yeah.
He didn't have nobody. He was sitting
Before I can't walk.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, no, that's a solid. I didn't even think about Eric Decker. I'm actually a little surprised. I'm impressed, Dak. For a man that doesn't make the playoffs, he had a good pick.
Second most points in the league, okay? Look, I can draft teams. I just have tough schedules.
He could draft, he just can't.
I just can't
put them together.
No. It's bad coaching.
All right, next in line is the fantasy flop. Kind of a tough one for me, just because of the fact of I didn't know who to pick because it's hard to. And on my eyes, I was either going Derrick Henry or this next player because I've drafted Derrick Henry the last 2 years, and even when DeMarco Murray was out last year, he got a lot of touches and he didn't produce a lot. He had one game, I think he had 145 yards and a touchdown, but he also had 30 carries. He also had 30.
Bruh. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He also had
Bruh.
He also had 30 carries. In that game, 30 touches, he doesn't catch the ball in the backfield. But my player that I'm going with is Carlos Hyde. Didn't really do much in San Francisco. He was a mediocre running back, let's say that. He does catch the ball in the backfield, but he's not the the pass catching running back in that team is Duke Johnson. Duke Johnson has been there for multiple years. He knows the system. He knows how Hugh Jackson runs everything. So I just feel that Carlos Hyde is going to be a fantasy flop because they're putting high expectations on him being in that Cleveland system with all those targets, all the weapons, the whole hype around Cleveland right now. I think Carlos Hyde is hyped up a little bit. They paid him quite a bit of money to go there, and I just think he's not going. I think he's going to be typical Carlos Hyde. Might get 1,000 yards, but that's it.
This is a new issue that we found out in the podcast room that I just figured out like 2 minutes ago.
Your door chime.
Yeah, my door chime. We got to turn that thing off.
Who you got for fantasy flop, Joe?
All right, so this might be a little tad of a stretch, but I'm going with Brandon Cooks.
No, he is.
So I'm looking at his numbers, and this is something that I just learned how to do on Fantasy Pros. It shows their exceeded expectations for the week, okay? So last year he had 7 games where he exceeded expectations. But when you look at his stats for not exceeding expectations, they're bad. -12, -12.
11.
You know what I mean? He does have the 20th hardest schedule, so that's kind of a little bit middle of the pack, not necessarily, but I just don't think that he's just gonna do it out there. Cooper Kupp, I mean,
he's quietly good.
He is, and you kind of don't know how.
I mean, you got Todd Gurley too.
Yeah,
on top
right.
Of that.
That's
Todd Gurley is going to get probably 350
lot,
touches this
yep,
year
a
between
lot out of
passing
the
and running.
backfield.
You know,
a lot out of the backfield, and then I mean, you don't necessarily know. I mean, you kind of know what Jared Goff is at this point. I feel like.
Yeah, I think he's
solid.
sound. He's a very sound quarterback.
It's just a matter of if he's going to get Brandon Cooks the ball. It's not an easy job because he's a down the sideline.
He's a big playmaker. He's a Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah,
and
it's not a huge route.
I mean,
I think that's a good pick because you look at Los Angeles, they have their defense is probably going to be the best in the league next year because with all the acquisitions that they made this year,
so
that I don't think they're going to be playing from behind to where they have to make the big play in the sense of getting Brandon Cooks.
You need that offense.
Look at what Brandon Cooks did with Tom Brady, one of the best quarterbacks there is.
Yeah.
Didn't really do nothing. Look at what he had. Look at what he had when we had Randy Moss. Randy Moss, I mean, they set the touchdown record.
Numbers.
Brandon Cooks, in the sense of athleticism, it obviously not as tall as Randy Moss, but he's an athlete. He's a pure athlete, and he didn't really do much in New England.
With the Patriots, it's talent and intelligence.
Yes, and that's,
if you don't have both,
unfortunately,
that's why he had a short stint there.
Chad Johnson had a terrible career in New England.
Yeah,
because he couldn't grasp the playbook.
And their playbook is a lot more schemes than just pure route running,
adapting to what the defense is doing game day.
Yeah. So that's definitely solid because Todd Gurley's still going to get a ton of touches. I mean,
Zach's going to like this next pick.
Yeah. Go ahead, Zach.
Right,
now, who's your flop?
My flop is going to be Brandon Marshall. Brandon Marshall going to Seattle. For some reason, there's only one wide receiver that works in Seattle. That's the Doug Baldwin.
Every year. And nobody wants to draft him.
Because nobody wants to draft him. But when you look at the draft board, you're like, well, he's the best available. My scenario from last year, and it's like, God damn it.
But it's like around week 8, all of a sudden he just starts catching touchdowns every single week.
And by then you're already pissed off at him, so you're not even looking at him to start.
Yeah, God damn it, that motherfucker. Doug Baldwin, you got the worst name in the league. Nobody wants to take a Baldwin ever. Everybody stopped taking Baldwins when Alex he brought all of his brothers around.
All of his brothers.
Yeah, nobody wants to take a Baldwin.
Doug Baldwin, lost brother.
Yeah.
But Brandon Marshall, because I hate to say this because I've been a Brandon Marshall fan for a long time, but he is a curse to teams.
He is, but fantasy wise, when he was on the Bears, he was on my
phenomenal.
team a lot.
Yeah,
and it was like, okay, but you're right. You're right.
But with the Jets, he had about an average season for him.
Miami. Killed it. Remember he had 20 catches in one game.
Yeah, killed it. You got from the Jets to the Giants. He had injury issues.
Yeah,
I really do think that he's going to have injury issues in Seattle. Plus, it's not their offense, especially when it comes to the wide receivers, is not that structured. It's
poor
a lot
offensive line.
Poor offensive line, and it becomes backyard football.
Yep.
Just get open.
Yep.
And I don't see Brandon Marshall flourishing in that system.
Not at,
just
34?
like Jimmy Graham couldn't flourish in that system.
Was he 34, 30? 35.
He's up there.
He's
He's somewhere up there.
And he's got ankle injuries, and that's what his previous injuries is. And someone being that big to have ankle injuries as a wide receiver or a running back is very tough.
And then on top of it, not really knowing what you're going to have to do on that play.
New system.
There's a lot on him that's going against him.
And he has a lot of off the field, not problems, but he's got his show. He's got his hands in a lot of other things in a sense.
And good for him, man.
Yes,
like,
good.
Getting your life
but
after
that's
football
when
set
you
up.
lose that hunger. He doesn't have the hunger to go out and beat you every day, every down. He's kind of,
Like 4 years ago, you would see on Brandon Marshall's Instagram, like him in the middle of the summer going heavy with the workouts.
Yeah.
I've not seen those in a while
at all
for a few seasons.
No.
So I don't think that the lust is there, and I don't really want to question anybody's hunger. But I don't know if he's going to go at it the same way that he has when he was in Miami, when he was in Denver, when he was in Chicago. And I think that's their big offseason acquisition.
Yeah, and think about this: they got to play the Rams twice a year and the Cardinals. The Cardinals' offense is not very good,
And
but
the
the Cardinals'
49ers.
defense and the Cardinals' defense and the Rams' defense, you got to play them. That's the total of 4 games that you pretty much can say.
Forget about it.
Maybe, especially the Rams.
wait,
I mean, who do they have? Who's their cornerbacks now? Talib and Marcus Peters. Shut down.
And you're
Both
going to
of them.
have and you're also going to have them playing the 49ers, which has Richard Sherman, who is going to play against the Seahawks. He's going to show up for that game.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I
if
think he's
Brandon
gonna.
Marshall-
I think he's gonna guard Doug Baldwin in the sense of like, I finally get to. I got you
got you
now.
now. Yeah.
I'm gonna show
But-
you why you wasn't nothing. But I understand the
Yeah.
whole philosophy
It's
behind
all-
it.
it's a
he's gonna
problem.
hype them up to play better. He's gonna be like, you better do your thing because they have no offensive line. So their running game, I don't know what it's gonna look like this year.
So
Yeah, no, that's another good one. Zach's coming out here with some sleepers that I didn't even.
Maybe he'll make the
honestly,
playoffs this year.
I thought Brandon Marshall retired.
Maybe
I really thought he retired, to
Playoffs.
be completely honest.
which is why he's a great flop.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, we'll go with the next one, which is a first round bust. And like I said, it's not that this player is going to underperform. They're going to underperform their draft pick, and that's what a first round bust is. I'm going with Kareem Hunt. People might think I'm crazy for this. John, he's in our fantasy league.
Hopefully you listen to us.
He's keeping him, but he's got the 32nd hardest schedule for running backs. And
In translation, the hardest schedule for
Yeah.
running back.
Yes, the hardest schedule for running backs. They have a new quarterback, which you don't know what he's going to do. Alex Smith is so underrated as a game manager that
100%
people
huge.
don't understand. I feel bad for the man because he is so underrated. But so you have a new quarterback, you have a new offensive coordinator, so it's a new system coming in, and Spencer Ware is coming back. He was the number 1 running back before he got hurt last year. Kareem came in as the number 2 on the depth chart, and obviously killed it. But they also have a great offensive line. They still had the playmaker in Alex Smith, and you have Andy Reid. You know what I'm saying? But with Spencer Ware back, he catches the ball. That's going to take some catches away from Kareem Hunt. And he only was averaged about 4 catches a game last year. So you're thinking that, say you cut that in half with Spencer Ware being there, he gets 2 catches a game. There goes his PPR, which is our league is a PPR league. So that goes, your PPR value is gone at that point in time. 2 catches.
Right.
I mean, unless
worth
they're touchdowns, but how often are you going to count on that? So I just feel that he is going to be a first round bust because he's going high. I mean, I think he's like number 4 or 5 running back this year, maybe 6. I think that's my first round bust. That's who I feel. Who you got, Joseph?
I'm going with Alvin Kamara.
Ooh,
As a
that's
Saints
Zach's
fan.
pick. That's Zach's keeper.
That's Zach's keeper.
That I lost a 3rd round pick for it.
All right, so I'm going with Alvin. One, because
And that's hold on. That's a lot coming from Joe. He is
lot.
a Saints fan.
Die hard.
Yeah, Saints fan. So this
I-
took a
I'm-
lot. He
I'm-
might have
I'm-
cried
you know
before he
what?
took this pick.
I want to hear this. 'Cause I'm ready to argue this one.
yeah, okay, cool. So Kamara, you got Mark Ingram out for 4 games, right? So he's gonna get a little bit more touches than he would have if obviously Mark Ingram was there.
All right, you took my first ammo away. Got it.
Okay, so
1 to Zach, 0 to Joe.
touches high last year don't always relate to high touches for the next year. It depends on the situation and everything. I think Mark Ingram kind of opened the door for Kamara to exceed.
He was a no name.
I mean, basically, he was behind Adrian Peterson at one point. I mean, we all know how that worked out.
But in all
Right.
fairness,
Right.
It's Adrian.
Right.
Yeah,
I know. We know how it worked out.
Right. Yeah.
But I would think the coaches in New Orleans, regardless if it was Adrian Peterson, if Kamara's better, they're gonna.
Yes.
Sean Payton is he's a guru at offense.
I mean,
think he would have put him first if they would have thought Kamara was better than him. So
Peterson was getting what, 1 or 2 touches a game. I mean, he was like, I didn't come here for this.
Right.
So as far as exceeding expectations, Kamara did that last year for sure.
Yeah.
This year, I just don't necessarily think it's going to translate. He's projected a lot of receiving yards. He's projected almost 750. I think that's high.
It's a lot.
Personally.
It is high.
And then he's only projected 800 rush yards. I think he's probably going to fit somewhere between 700 and 900 for rushing yards, so it's right there.
Okay.
Receptions, I just don't think he's going to get that many. I think
lot.
Michael Thomas is going to end up – this is going to be the season where he has 112, 115, 120 catches because –
But in New Orleans, the ball goes around enough for that.
It does.
But you also don't have Mark Ingram for 4 games.
It
so
might
that could
anymore.
Well, and that's the thing with Mark Ingram out, that could boast Michael Thomas in the sense of the passing game because Mark Ingram was a big role in that offense last year.
Huge.
Yeah.
Sorry, not to cut you off,
you're
Joseph.
good,
Go ahead.
you're good. And he does have a fairly easy schedule for running back, so that might work out in his favor. And that's what I was going to next. I think that's going to affect him a little bit more because he kind of got the spotlight and like did what he had to do, but in the same sense, do we know he's really that talented?
Look at J.H.I. Had a great 1 year, and then he went to Philly, did nothing.
We know how it is for running backs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're few far
here
in
today,
between,
gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
And last year, that 2-headed monster you had was phenomenal. This year,
it helps.
I think it's going to be a little bit more quiet. I just don't think he's going to produce first-round numbers.
Okay. So
Where you're taking him in the 3rd round, I think you're going to be all right.
Yeah, that's
third
a value
round numbers
keeper.
for sure.
But yeah,
just first round numbers. I
mean,
think
he's
they're gonna
going
happen.
he's going high. The few ones that I've seen, he's gone
High.
like
6,
7.
Pick,
6.
Really?
Yeah, he's going high.
Really?
Him and Cream. That's why I have Cream Hunt on here because Cream
That's
Hunt's
the only
going
reason
5, 6,
why
7.
he's my first round
Okay.
flop is because he's
okay, so you're not saying he's gonna have a shit
No.
season.
No,
no,
and that's
no,
what
no.
that's what you know what I'm saying.
Right,
It's based off their value of their
Yeah.
draft pick. Like, is he going to produce at an RB1 numbers at a high first round draft?
I did understand this, but when I heard Joe say his name, I was like,
You just
Yeah,
automatically
I got
went
in my
to attack.
feelings.
him. He said, "What you say?"
All right.
what do you mean?
So my first round bust, it's probably going to shock some people. Mine is Ezekiel Elliott. There's a lot of factors that Cowboys offensive line, which was kind of vaunted as by far the best in the league, it's not the same anymore.
It's not.
And then on top of
DeMarco Murray ate when it was the top of it.
DeMarco Murray could have had Hall of Fame numbers.
Zeke's first
on that.
year was, and then you're right.
And last year it started to decline, and it's only going to get worse from here on.
And Dak Prescott's getting worse.
Well, and before we even get to that, you've got the 2 passing threats that, I mean, one of them hasn't been that great the last handful of years in Des Bryant, but Des Bryant, who still commanded attention, and then Jason Witten are gone. So you don't have to focus that much on the passing game. So guess what? You're gonna plug up the center of the field.
You can put 8 men in the box.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, and like you said, Dak Prescott took a huge step back last year. Huge. And I don't see him bouncing back from that, which his name will come up on my list again later. But I look at that team as Ezekiel Elliott or bust. And once other teams have to know this.
They got to
8, 9 in a box. It's going to be hard for him to have like his rookie season.
So it's almost like if Zeke does do good this year, it's like, okay, maybe he's
special,
you know,
if he's able to have and like you said, I do think he's going to have a solid season, but is he going to be worth a first round pick in fantasy?
And
I don't think so.
I think he when I was looking at, I think he went like fourth pick. So I mean, that's you're asking a lot from that
we
player.
got Justin keeping him in ours, right?
Yeah, and he doesn't catch the ball out of the backfield, so that takes away a lot of his fantasy value. So then, in all reality, if he's in the game, you know, it's pretty much either they're going to pass the ball because he's going to block because he's a good blocker, or they're going to run the ball.
So would you almost consider Zeke a complete bust then? Almost.
No, he's a cowbell. He's going to get his touches.
Yeah, on talent alone, he's going to put up decent numbers.
He's going to get 20, 25 touches a game.
Yeah.
You're going to get something. One's going to break to where you can bust off a 50-yarder, and then your yardage might be 110.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But drafting him in the first round, you're going to be disappointed.
It's tough. I would take him late, like 8, 9, 10 in that range. With that, if they had a different quarterback, I would. If they had Blake Bortles,
wait,
I would take him.
wait.
But Dak Prescott
If
just
they
can't.
had Tony Romo.
If they had Tony, I love Tony Romo. People don't understand that when look what happened to Des Bryant when Tony Romo left.
No.
It ruined his Cowboys career.
What happened?
It ruined his Cowboys
What
career.
happened?
100%.
People underestimate Tony Romo so bad, but that's for a whole another discussion. But yeah, no, that's definitely solid. I didn't, so you guys, you're making bold statements here, Zach. Maybe he is gonna make the playoffs
what?
this year.
Maybe
You guys heard it first. Smack Talk. If Zach makes the playoffs, we called it.
6th seed.
Yeah.
6.
All right, we're gonna go into our top rookie. You can say I'm being biased.
Sometimes the easiest answer is the right answer.
Sometimes
I feel everything AK. I'm gonna prelude this. Everything AK says is for me too, because I got the same player.
Same here. Same
All right, AK, take this over.
You can say I'm being biased with this pick because obviously he's a New York Giant. But I got Saquon Barkley. The one thing that is throwing me off about putting him in this is his strength of schedule of what he's got to face this year. He's got a tough schedule in the sense of what he's running against. I think it's like 26th, which that is just a projection. It could all change from there. They could change to him having the easiest schedule by,
Week 8. Yeah,
yes, but he's going to get a high volume of touches because, to be honest, their backup is Jonathan Stewart, I believe.
Ooh,
Jonathan Stewart.
That's a good backup.
It is a good backup, but in the sense of Barkley, he's the pass catcher. D'Angelo Williams was the pass catcher between Jonathan Stewart. So he's not going to get the passes that he's going to get. So he's going to get a lot of touches. I mean, they said he can do it all. Pass block, run the ball, catch the ball. I mean, he can run routes like a receiver, they said.
Yep.
Jump the boxes like a madman.
Yes, exactly. I mean, and there's other rookies you could put in here. Rashad Penny from Seattle. They got big hype on him. Darius Geis would have been somebody I would have had in this argument, but unfortunately he tore his ACL before the season started. So that ruined that. So pretty much at that point in time, Saquon Barkley, you don't take somebody that early in the first round and not expect him to start immediately. And it's the easiest position you can plug in, and they can do it for the sense of running the ball. Obviously, the schemes of the third down passing and blocking and stuff is a little different, but
it's easier to get them involved.
He also went to Penn State. He didn't go to LSU to run the ball. He didn't go to Alabama to run the ball. He went to Penn State, which is a pristine school for education and for sports. So you go there, you can't be a complete idiot. No offense to Fournette that went to LSU, any Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry that went to Alabama.
It's not like basketball where you can skate by with a year and not go to all your classes. You have to participate.
Yes, you have to. And like I said, he went to Penn State. That's a good school. It's like saying somebody went to Michigan or Ohio State. They're all smart. Notre Dame. They're all smart schools. Yeah. And so that's why I think that he is and he's a freak of nature.
Yep.
Come on, let's be real.
Yep.
So I mean, do all you guys have Saquon?
Yeah.
So we're pretty much just going off.
You look at his pure combine numbers. I mean, he's up there with some of the top running backs, Hall of Famers. I mean, it's hard to not say that he's going to be the top rookie. I mean.
And then the other thing is when you look at these top rookies every single year, it tends to be a running back.
Yes.
And I mean, if you wanted to talk,
pick the best one?
And for our league, we have defensive players. So I mean, you could almost argue, what's his name, Griffin from the Seahawks.
Oh.
The running the linebacker with the one arm. He's been having a great one hand.
Yeah,
I'm rooting for him.
He's been having a great preseason. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to pick defensive players.
His brother's on the team. Isn't
his brother's on the team too. I forgot his brother's name. Anything to add on that with Saquon?
I think that the Giants were really smart. They did try to fix their offensive line.
They did.
That's going to matter. You've got a veteran in Eli Manning. You've got Odell Beckham, so it's not like you're going to be able to plug up the lane. Saquon Barkley's in a good situation. Now, he's going to get attention because of all the media attention that he's got.
Big market.
But
they got Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
And they got Sterling Shepard.
There's going to be enough room to spread the ball around, and spreading the ball around is going to be the best case scenario for him because it's going to open up those.
Their defense isn't terrible.
No, their defense they had a good defense last year. They
Eli
had no
Apple
production.
and Jenkins. I mean, those are some lockdown corners.
And that matters because that means that they're going to keep the score low, and if you can keep the score low, that means you can keep feeding Saquon Barkley.
Yes, sir. High volume. He's a cowbell. That's just what he is.
Yeah. So you're going to see Ezekiel Elliott rookie year numbers somewhere along those lines.
I mean, or Ezekiel, even Fournette rookie numbers.
Yeah. Which
10 touchdowns,
scoring, yards, catches.
But the difference between him and them two is he catches the ball.
out of the backfield.
He's gonna he could easily have 400 or 500 yards receiving the way he catches the ball.
50, 60 catches for sure.
Easily.
Yeah.
All right, so we pretty much unanimous vote Barkley.
Yeah.
Comeback player. It's kind of I had to toss up between two.
Same.
One's my man's, and the other one is my other guy's man's, and I went with him unfortunately. But Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he's gonna come back. I think he's got a point to prove in the sense of Georgie's gone, so they're thinking, oh, his receiving core is kind of down a little bit, which I think Devontae Adams is gonna have like 15 touchdowns this year personally. But
it always seems to happen.
Yes, and now he really had. I mean, he had what 12 last year, 13 last year, 12 or 13 last year, and he had who was his quarterback? Brett Hundley. Yeah, exactly. So I think Aaron Rodgers. I think he's gonna come out and prove that he might come out and win the MVP. To be completely honest, because we all know how he is. He's one of the best quarterbacks. He's if not,
capable.
It's hard.
He's the
to
best
give him
athletic quarterback in the league.
Playmaker.
Yes, playmaker. Tom Brady is the best because he wins. But Aaron Rodgers, I think he's going to come out. He got a new weapon in Jimmy Graham. They finally have somewhat of a reliable running back group. They got, Aaron Jones and Williams.
Yeah.
And then you got Ty Montgomery, which is a playmaker himself. You throw him in the slot, or you let him come in for passing downs for
catch
running
out
back.
of the backfield.
Yes, he could easily have a phenomenal year. So you give him you have decent amount of weapons. I just think he's going to have a comeback. He's going to have a great year. He's going to pass for 300 yards, probably 30 touchdowns, maybe 10 interceptions. Yeah. Come on now, it's Aaron Rodgers. It's pretty much you can that you know what? Let me rephrase that. I'm going to slap myself. That's the easy pick. I took the easy pick.
All right.
Go ahead, Joe. Yeah, Joe. Hey, go ahead, Joseph.
I'm taking Jordy Nelson. Now,
I'll listen.
I'll listen. I'm not mad.
I mean, you got the typical Jordy's washed up. Jordy's old. Jordy's a step late. I mean, you got all of that, right?
Jordy didn't have A-Rod.
Yes.
Right. I'm not now by any means. I'm not preluding this as Derek Carr is even as good as Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers because that's dumb, right?
Yeah.
Fair.
But his projections speak to me. You're telling me Jordy's going to get 64 catches? I think he can get more than that. It's Jordy.
I mean, he is one argument I have to say is he's been going in like the 9th and 10th round, so there's not
he's
high
going
hopes.
late.
They're not high hopes on him. I mean, it's tough to say because you also have to think you have Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
And you have Martavius Bryant. Which Martavius Bryant, the one thing that I read about that wide receiving core is John Gruden is not happy with Martavius Bryant. He's happy with everybody else.
Already?
Because this is his argument. Because everyone is versatile in their receiving group. Everyone that has been there has gone to play the outsides and they can run the slot. Martavius Bryant is the only one that has never ran the slot. So he doesn't have that crisp route running, but in his defenses, he played in Pittsburgh where they asked him, it was like 70% of his routes ran were a post or a go route. You can't learn anything from running that.
No.
So
those are two of the simplest routes.
Yeah, so John Gruden is high on Jordy Nelson. So
and
security blanket.
Yeah, for sure. And the only other thing else I had to say was a 31st easiest schedule. So he's not going to be really going against.
No. That means it's the 31st easiest. So he's the 31st as the other end. That's why it's red.
Oh,
so that means he's got the second hardest schedule.
Ooh, maybe I retract my statement.
Sorry,
I just think Jordy's going to be, like Aaron said, the security blanket as far as.
Because we know Amari Cooper's not really a security blanket.
He's not.
He's not a possession receiver.
Right.
At all.
Jordy, you can trust him. Hey, run this button hook. Catch it, please.
Mm-hmm. That's why Aaron Rodgers was so upset about him being gone.
Oh, 100%.
But it's a thing. When Jordy is healthy, he does put up the numbers.
Definitely.
But it's
1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns. It's So, yeah, I mean.
I'm just – it was a hunch for me, and I didn't really have any facts. I was kind of just – I think Jordy's going to have a good year, and that's it.
Is he going to have a good football year or fantasy year?
Fantasy year.
Okay.
Fantasy year.
I mean, that's kind of where my pick goes. It's kind of a little bit of a hunch. Mine is Andrew Luck.
That's
I like that.
He was on a lot of experts.
I like.
There's
player.
still a lot of factors because that team without Andrew Luck is hot garbage. They are working on improving that, and that's obvious. But Andrew Luck is one of those special players where he brings up everyone else's level on the team. And I think just the fact that he's on the field with the guys is going to make them play at an even higher level. It's going to be kind of like, let's do this one for Andrew type of feel. And he's a great player. The only problem that I've ever had with Andrew Luck is he throws too many interceptions. But he is also an incredibly intelligent player.
Yes.
And he hasn't played for 18-plus months. I guarantee you he spent most of that time, when not rehabbing, studying the game.
He was already smart. He's Stanford.
Exactly.
Stanford.
So I think that he wants to come back. He's got something to prove. You're talking about A-Rod wanting, coming back playing, potentially playing angry and playing an MVP level. I think Andrew Luck's got that same capabilities too.
Everybody's been counting him out.
Yeah.
If he's ever going to come back.
If he's
and
ever
play.
going to come and play again. You've had, Josh McDaniels basically rescind accepting the offer as the head coach because he didn't know what Andrew Luck is.
Yeah.
If I'm Andrew Luck, you got to feel slighted by that. So I think you're gonna get the best version of Andrew Luck that you've probably ever seen this year. Now, he may get beat out by Aaron Rodgers, who is going to be playing at the level, but he's going to be in the conversation.
But that's Aaron Rodgers. He that's just his game.
But this was the heir apparent to Peyton Manning.
It was.
So
Yeah.
Best regular season quarterback there ever was. Just like Zach. Best regular season quarterback was. I'm sorry, but
can we get an award for that?
Yeah, right. But no, that's definitely a very. I mean, you could.
Yeah,
that's a coin flip right there because Andrew Luck. I mean, they finally got him a little bit of running. I mean, you got Marlon Mack there, and they got another. They picked up a rookie in the draft. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but they're talking that he's fighting for that number 1 spot. So you got 2 good running backs, and then obviously T.Y. Hilton. He's got Jack Doyle. I'm sorry. Jack Doyle is his tight end. Don't really know the rest. I know they got rid of Dante Moncrief. I forget where he went. But yeah, Andrew Luck. I mean, he could easily put up 4,500 yards.
Easily.
He's got the arm for it. So we'll get into, which is my favorite one, Golden Oldie.
Golden Oldie.
Who's our Golden Oldie? And
that
there's
sound like some late night radio.
Yeah, and so this one, pretty much, I went biased. I went very biased, and I almost wore his jersey today because I went so biased with him on that one. Mine is Phillip Rivers. People, for some reason, don't think Phillip Rivers is a good quarterback, but I guarantee you, I can vouch for him right now that he has beaten Peyton Manning in the playoffs. His Peyton Manning record in the playoffs is like 3-0. He's beaten Peyton Manning to stop him from going to the AFC Championship against the Patriots, Brady, and then they lose to the Patriots. So quietly, Phillip Rivers is a very good quarterback. His last 3 seasons, he had over 4,300 yards in all 3 seasons, and one of them he had 4,700 yards. And then his 28 touchdowns in 2015, kind of low. 33 in 16, and then 29 last year. And he's the 33 touchdown year, he had 20 interceptions, which is high. But the 29 and the 28, the one he had 10 and the one he had 11. I mean, I'll throw 10 interceptions and
almost 3-1.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, they're projected to win that division this year. They have a great team. They obviously have Melvin Gordon. And Keenan Allen. They lost Hunter Henry for the year, but I think they're going to be all right. Yeah, they also have Mike Williams, which is a rookie, and that man is about to go crazy this year. So I think Phillip Rivers, my projection for Phillip Rivers, he's going to pass for over like 4,400 yards with probably about, I'm going to say 32 touchdowns this year. So that's my Golden Oldie. And the man's got 5 kids. 6, actually. I'm sorry. 6 kids. Jesus Christ. I don't even have 1.
Don't do it, Joe. Don't do it, Joe.
Don't do it. Joe, who do you got as your Golden Oldie? AK?
No.
Hey, matter of fact, I should get comeback player of the year, boy. Wait till this ACL's healed. You're out here drunken.
All right, my Golden Oldie is I'm taking Big Ben.
Oh, nice.
He doesn't really have a very easy schedule this year, but projection-wise, I mean, he'll be about 4,400 yards, 28 to 33 touchdowns, depending on what they can do.
Better be with the best offense in the game.
You know what I mean? I mean, they were pretty much begging Big Ben to come back.
Yeah.
Le'Veon
called him and said, you have to come back.
Otherwise, I don't know if I'm going to be here.
Yeah. Play until I leave, because I'm leaving once they can't franchise tag me no more.
Straight up. They used them all on him.
Yeah.
But just, I mean, consistency's always been 4,400 yards. I mean, in that vicinity. High touchdowns. He's always had a fairly good offense, and I just think he's going to come in, do what he normally does, and you'll find him somewhere probably like the 9th or 10th ranked quarterback, which
not
for
bad.
36 years old.
No, not bad at all. I mean,
that's pretty solid.
He's not bad, and you got to look at the weapons he's got there too.
Weapons all day.
The best weapons
all day.
Oh yeah,
all
yeah.
day.
Best position players in the game.
Who are you taking, Zach?
Guys, I respect Phillip Rivers. I do think that he's had the great last 3 years.
I'm disappointed in your pick. I'm looking at it right now. I'm very disappointed.
And I love Big Ben.
I can't believe it, because the man I thought you were gonna pick is the man that I haven't been able to get like the last 2 years, or like 3 drafts I tried to get him, and you've drafted him a few times.
Ooh.
How do you not know?
That's why the man don't make the playoffs. That's why the man don't make the playoffs.
I do have a list of players that I
Who's the man? Who is the man? Who is the best golden Ole receiver there is?
Well, it was Steve Smith for a while.
No, but
the
better.
Other one.
Better. Are you serious right now? I'm gonna reach across this table and slap this man. Larry Fitz.
Oh yeah, it is Larry Fitz.
Oh yeah.
I haven't.
Oh yeah.
You do cause a fit.
Yeah. Every time.
He's gonna draft him early this year.
First pick. Larry Fitz. I got the second pick, but going number 2 overall, Larry Fitz. So that's why I'm sorry for cutting Zach off, but I had to just put that out there.
You just can't pick Larry Fitz and make the playoffs. Like, what's going on over there?
Yeah, he picks one of the best receivers in the game and still can't make the playoffs. He had the best running back group last year.
Zach
make the
I
playoffs.
had one of the best wide receiver groups and it didn't make the playoffs. I had the touchdown leader at quarterback and didn't make the playoffs.
Zach's over here looking like, how did the episode turn out like
He's
this?
looking like the Cleveland Browns.
No, it's not hot fire on the field. Anyway, Tom Brady, guys, come on.
Yeah, easy pick.
Easy. That's a rookie pick. That's a D-Mob pick.
The easiest pick is the right pick.
You're right.
And
41 years old. I mean, he's old.
I'll admit that this year there's a lot of stuff stacked against him as far as like continuity with the organization.
Yeah.
But Tom Brady and Bill Belichick over the years have proven that as soon as you count them out, you guys remember a few years ago they played against the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football and got obliterated.
Yep.
And everybody said it was over. And what happened after that
the next game. I think they put up 40-something points.
Like, what happened after that is, you doubt me. I'm going to show you how absolutely wrong you are. And I think that Tom Brady is going to be in that he's in that mindset until he decides to retire. And he's not going to be he's not going to be Brett Favre and forced out of the league. He's going to go out on his own terms. And I think that him playing for another year, having to hear people asking him about his trainer, he's getting really, really upset and angry. Tom Brady plays like a legend.
Yeah. And they also took a running back in the first round for the first time in I couldn't even tell you how long.
Tom Brady damn near the platinum oldie, ain't it? Like how old he is and how good he is. You damn near.
Yeah, he might be past gold status. You're right. So
who is the man that's dead and still playing in the league? Tom Brady. But yeah, no, I mean that's obviously that a lot of experts picked Tom Brady as well. I mean it was pretty much shuffled between Phillip Rivers, Larry Fitz, and Tom Brady, to be completely honest, because in all reality, those are the only 3 older players that are still playing at a very high level. Yeah. But yeah, no, and like I said, the Patriots actually drafted a running back in the first round for the first time, and it's been a very, very long time. So they're projecting him to potentially be a starter. But we all know how the running back committee is in New England. It's who's producing right then. They still have Rex Burkhead, which was a very sound player last year.
Definitely.
They lost Deion Lewis to the Titans.
That was going to happen.
Kind of hurts, but Rex Burkhead can pick up the passing for that. And so can their new running back. I was reading on him. So that's definitely a solid pick. Next one is must-have player. You can kind of, this is pretty much, you can pick a handful of people. There's a lot of must-have.
There's a couple elitists.
But who I feel is going to be a must-have player is Deion Lewis. Ironically, I just mentioned him. You don't go out and sign a player for 4 years, $20 million a year to be a secondary option, maybe in the sense of like, we might. All right, yeah, I'll put him in there behind Derrick Henry. Like I've said earlier, Derrick Henry was almost my fantasy flop because of the fact of what I know he's done because I've drafted him and held on to him for so long. He was my Mr. Irrelevant pick last year, and then 2 years ago, I think I drafted him in like the 16th round and had high hopes on him last year, and he never took that role away from a 30-year-old running back in DeMarco Murray. Yes, DeMarco Murray is great, but the thing that Deion Lewis does is he catches the ball out of the backfield, and Derrick Henry does not.
Right.
So you're telling me that, A, you played behind Tom Brady and Bill Belichick for a couple years. So his knowledge is, A, higher than Derrick Henry's already, because Derrick Henry went to Alabama. Let's be real. Sorry, don't beat me up.
I mean,
but,
you're right. You're right when you break it down.
So Deion Lewis went there, and what did DeMarco Murray do? Like I said, passed the ball or caught the ball out of the backfield. What does Deion Lewis do? Catches the ball out of the backfield. So you're telling me that right then and there, they're already sharing touches in the sense of as a whole, running and passing. So then on top of that, Deion Lewis is not going to not get handoffs because they're not going to just put him in there for the passing game. So he's going to run the ball as well on top of that. So I think Derrick Henry is his handcuff when it comes down to it. When it comes down to a couple games and they're getting in sync, Mariota likes to sling the ball. And they're going to be playing from behind, I feel, quite often in the sense that they're going to have to throw the ball. And who do they have as receivers? Corey Davis. That's really the only one I know about. And Delaney Walker.
Yeah, I was going to say Delaney.
So they don't have a lot of big play receivers. So they're going to try to make plays out of the backfield with their most explosive player in the passing game, I feel, is Deion Lewis. So I have him being my must-have player. So y'all can know it first. If y'all draft him, I'm fighting somebody. So
I feel like the draft this year is going to be really fun.
Oh, yeah, it's going to
Really
be a lot of
funny.
fun. Yeah, I think, I'm fighting. And probably Justin or Malcolm. Just putting that out there now. Yeah. I know they don't listen, but I'm going to let y'all know.
I know they don't listen.
But I'm going to let y'all know I'm swinging at both of you guys.
Right
if any
now.
of you guys take Deion Lewis. So, Joe, who do you guys is your must-have?
All right, so my must-have is Michael Thomas.
Well, you're not having him this
I
year.
know
I'm
not.
Because I'm keeping him.
It's definitely not somebody that I know I have a chance to get in our league, but in my other league, I do have a shot at getting them.
That's the whole point. The must-haves,
Yeah.
especially in the keeper league,
was for
you're
us.
not going to get them.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Well, the other one I had on deck was Jimmy Graham, but I was looking at his stats, and that's a very hard stretch.
And
very hard
I don't
stretch.
care what anybody says. Green Bay doesn't favor tight ends.
They
had
they don't.
Martellus
They don't.
Bennett.
You're right.
When he played for Chicago, Stain. When he played for New England, Stain. He went to Green Bay with the best quarterback in the league, and what happened?
Yeah.
Nothing. He really didn't produce. So I'm sorry, but go
You're
ahead
good.
on Michael Thomas because you
You're good.
already know.
I feel like he's gonna have that Antonio Brown type year and just blow it up, and whoever has him is gonna love it, and I'm gonna love it because I'm a Saints fan, and we need him to get back to where we were last year. I just think Michael Thomas he's just gonna have that year. I mean, the plate is set for him to eat. He's just gotta kind of go do it. I mean, you got a still very high accurate quarterback. Yes, he does throw a lot of interceptions, but when Michael Thomas is targeted, Michael Thomas catches it. I mean, he's very. The drops are almost non-existent.
He's a very
like
high
Larry
pass.
Fitz.
I think he's like a 71 pass catcher, and that's extremely high considering
For sure.
Alshon Jeffrey had like 9 touchdowns last year, and he caught it at 45% rate.
Yep. Alshon. Yep.
Yep.
So I mean, shout out to AK because he's probably gonna keep him.
Yep. So who you guys, Zach?
So Joe,
And don't say Elvin Kamara because we know you have him.
So Joe, you say Michael Thomas might have an Antonio Brown type year.
I do.
Antonio Brown is a must-have player.
Thanks.
Hey, like I said, these must-have
I don't know
players,
about. See, bro, I'm gonna put that on right now. You want Antonio Brown? He's on the trade block.
We can talk.
We can talk. Cool.
We can talk.
Good.
So
You gonna trade his expectation of Antonio Brown for your first round bust, Elvin Kamara? So you're not that kind of
guy.
Yeah, hey, it's a good
You gotta
trade.
throw something else. You gonna pay my fantasy fee or what do we got?
No,
here?
no, you're not Dion.
Everybody's got to chip in $8 to pay for Deion's fantasy fee this year.
It was the only way we could keep him in the league.
Only way we can keep him. We know he's gonna come in last place, but we still wanted him in the league because we know we have easy wins when we play him.
Deion's probably over there sitting on the stairs like these motherfuckers.
Loading up.
Now he didn't-
God, these motherfuckers think I'm playing this year. Break yourself.
But Antonio Brown has been the standard at the wide receiver position. Even when you have guys like Odell Beckham and Julio Jones, Antonio Brown is kind of on a different level from both of those guys. I don't see a reason for him to slow down. I've seen highlights of him in training camp making his own DBs look like absolute garbage, and they're having great coverage against him, and he's just catching ridiculous balls.
He puts in a lot of work in the offseason.
Absolutely. He has a lot of fun on the field, especially when he scores. You know, he puts a lot of thought into his celebrations, but he puts a lot of thought into his work ethic, and the dude is an absolute monster.
I don't
hungry.
As far as the Steelers go, Malcolm's a Steelers fan, so I don't want to see them win, but I want to see Antonio Brown.
Well, yeah, he's your
Right.
only person you can
No,
keep on the team.
I want to see him win a ring.
Don't.
I want to see him win a ring. I want to see them win a Super Bowl.
It could be done this year. It could be.
The last handful of years, they could have been. I think it's.
They were that one fluky play away from going to it on that.
Yeah.
He wasn't trying to progress the ball, and it wasn't a touchdown.
Yep.
They called him down. Bro, nobody touched him.
Yep.
It was their tight end.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever their tight end is.
NFL does some fluky.
Yeah.
things
Yes,
with
because
their rules,
somebody paid the Patriots paid a lot of money to go to the Super Bowl again just to lose, but that's neither here or there.
He ain't lying.
So you really went AB.
I mean, how
You
could I
went
not?
you really disappointed me. You
didn't like my last
excited
two.
me the first.
My last two picks are the ones you got issues with. The Tom Brady, Antonio Brown, but they're
the
good picks.
Yeah, I mean the golden oldie and I don't know.
You want to be mad at me,
I
but
was
you
I was
can't.
I was disappointed because I expected so much more out of you, Zach. I expected you to really reach into that non-playoff brain and pull out.
Sorry, Dad. I'll do better next time, okay?
All right. So we'll go on to the last one. And this is the must-avoid player. I have Tyreek Hill. And people might think I'm crazy.
I don't.
But let me break it down to you real quick.
For you listeners.
He scored 7 touchdowns. 7 touchdowns last year, which was very high for an explosive, high-end, like a playmaker receiver like that. But you have to look at this. He only scored in 6 games. That's not very good. I don't feel that's very good.
No.
6 games out of 16? So you're telling me 10 games you didn't score at all. And some of the games that he didn't score, well, most of his games he didn't score in were like 43 yards, 67 yards, 73 yards, nothing high.
So
the
if he's
games
not scoring, he's
it's
not
basically
contributing.
it's basically if he scores, he's going to have a lot of numbers. He has 0 touchdowns in the red zone. 1 target within the 10-yard line, 1 target within the 5-yard line last year.
That means the offense doesn't believe him in that situation.
He is not your. Who could I compare to? He is not your Larry Fitzgerald to your Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson only scores on big plays. Larry Fitz is you run a little slant, you run a little curl route, and I'm going to throw this ball to you because I know you're going to catch it, like we said.
Right.
0 touchdowns in the red zone. And on top of that, I think he has the 30th or 31st hardest schedule for wide receivers. And on top of that, like I said about Kareem Hunt, you have a new quarterback that you don't have Alex Smith, which he put the ball perfectly where he needs to, clearly with 7 touchdowns, with none in the red zone. And then you have a new quarterback and a new offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
You can't expect this man to produce 7 touchdowns alone last year.
That whole offense is going to look different.
Way different.
And then who's their number 2 wide receiver? Sammy Watkins, only a big play receiver.
Yeah, he only runs 2 routes.
You know, and that's basically what Tyreek Hill is. He's going to run you a deep slant, a post, a go route, maybe an outside, a sideline slant. You're not going to get that over across the middle, like the 5-yard pass that you're going to eat up and go crazy because he's not that man to go across the middle. And then that in turn why I have Kareem Hunt as my first round bust, because they're not going to open the field up like they were with Alex Smith.
Right.
So that's why I have Tyreek Hill as my must-avoid player.
Appreciate the prelude because I took Sammy Watkins as my bust avoid.
Nice. I think everybody had offense.
I've had
Avoid the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, anything to do with Kansas City, the Royals, the Chiefs, anything.
The reason why I picked Sammy Watkins is I've had him on my team and I know what he produces, and it's like,
You had him in St. Louis, right?
Yep.
Didn't you trade for him?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
He just drafted him like
I
a goofy.
just drafted. Yeah. But he's got.
He pulled a D-Mob butt funnel. Move on.
Kansas City has a 32nd hardest.
Oh,
Or
30 second,
They got
okay.
this 30-second
So-
easiest, so they got the hardest.
So they have the hardest. Okay.
Sammy Watkins, new quarterback, like Aaron's been preluding. I mean, it's all right there. Sammy Watkins is just a big name that might excite players that don't
flashy.
really.
I've never been big on Sammy Watkins, but yeah, I hear what
Never
you're saying.
ever. I've never had him in fantasy.
I've made that mistake and I won't again. Sammy Watkins, avoid him.
There's players that like are on teams that I just never ever
Think about drafting.
think about, and Kansas
Yeah.
City is one of them.
Yeah.
Seattle is another one of them. I just don't.
They don't
I
produce.
just don't. They're not. They're not
high-volume
appealing to me.
offense, right?
They're not appealing to me whatsoever. And I know you guys have your teams too, but
Yeah.
KC is definitely one that I've never ever had players. On.
Defensive wise, yes.
Yeah,
but
that-
offensive
that's a
wise,
little different.
definitely. Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
so yeah. So Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins,
Stay away.
same
from
play,
Kansas
same
City.
team. That's terrible that we both have. Who do you guys, Zach?
I got Dak Prescott for some of the reasons that I mentioned earlier, but just kind of to double down on it.
That's easy.
If you watch him play, he's not a very accurate quarterback.
At all.
And when you have guys like Jason Witten and Des Bryant who have a really big catch radius, not being able to catch your passes, that says something for how inaccurate you are. His improv is not as good as it was his rookie year. I think Ezekiel Elliott hides a lot of that, and maybe he will a little bit more this year. But the fact that you don't really have the passing weapons, it doesn't lead for him having a good season or
A
even
decreasing
a respectable.
offensive line. He's going to be on the run a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of
He's
factors.
mobile.
He's
Is,
very
but he's
mobile.
not a mobile throwing quarterback.
No, he can't.
He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not
No,
Russell Wilson.
There's only a handful of those guys.
Yeah. And I think I just named just both of them.
Both of them.
Marcus
yeah.
Mariota when he's healthy.
Yeah.
I give Marcus Mariota that when he's healthy because he can
yeah,
throw the
he's
ball
more
outside the
accurate.
pick.
Yeah, he's definitely more accurate.
But
Cam
them
Newton.
two, Cam,
yeah.
Cam is just
Cam could do everything.
yeah. Except win the Super Bowl.
True. But Dak Prescott is one of those guys that he's got the name, he's got all the press, and people are gonna go to Dak Prescott. He was my backup. I didn't play him a single game last year, minus when Russell Wilson was on a bye week, and I hated it.
Yeah.
So I don't see a reason to be high on Dak Prescott at all. Honestly, he's in the bottom half of quarterbacks in the league, and bottom half of quarterback, especially in fantasy terms, they shouldn't be on your team.
Yeah, you need top
Yeah.
16 for sure.
Yeah.
Especially being a 10-team league, we shouldn't have a problem.
Yeah, and to add to that, I believe
He'll end up on somebody's team, by the way.
I think
Yes, he will.
Yeah, D-Mobs.
We're going to make fun.
But to add to that too, I believe that Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott came in the same year together.
Yes.
I believe they came in the same year.
Mhm.
How ironic is it that the Dallas Cowboys are showing Dak Prescott films of Carson Wentz and how they want him to play?
I'd be pissed. If I
How
was Dak,
ashamed
first off.
are you? You
Yeah.
look down like this, like, man, I'm going home.
I don't want to play no more.
Yeah, like, I don't want. Can y'all trade me? Like, you're showing them plays of a quarterback that was drafted in the same year as you.
The dude that
That's-
everybody was saying that you were better than
Yes.
a year ago.
Yep.
A year
Yes.
Yep.
And then now they're showing you videos on him, a film and study of
Ouch.
him.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
ago.
rough.
Times it's a changing.
That's a slap in the face.
Little bit.
That's a terrible slap
Better
in the
work
face.
on your accuracy
And
because
yeah, and that's why I don't. When we get into the over under